In the quiet hours before dawn, when the city still slept and even dogs had not begun their barking, Amara was already awake. She did not wake because she wanted to. She woke because life had trained her that rest was a luxury meant for other people. Her room was small, bare walls, a narrow bed, and a single bulb that flickered when the power grew tired. Amara sat on the edge of the bed, tying her hair into a low bun with slow, careful hands. She moved gently, as though noise itself might cost her something. Outside, the sky was still dark blue. The air was cool. Somewhere in the distance, a generator coughed awake. Amara stepped out onto the street with her small bag hanging from her shoulder. She walked the long road quietly, passing closed shops, sleeping houses, and empty bus stops. She had learned long ago not to rush. When you rush, you arrive tired, and when you arrive tired, people notice. By the time she reached the mansion gate, the sun had just begun to rise. The house stood tall and wide, its walls clean and smooth, its compound carefully trimmed. Palm trees lined the driveway. Expensive cars slept under shade. It was the kind of house people pointed at when passing, lowering their voices as though wealth could hear envy. Amara stepped inside as she did every day. No one greeted her. No one asked how she was. She tied her apron, picked up her mop, and began to clean. She cleaned floors that shone brighter than her future. She wiped tables that never remembered her name. She polished a life that was never meant to include her. To the people who lived there, Amara was not a person. She was part of the building. And somewhere within those walls, hidden in silence and dust, her name waited. Amara knew every corner of the mansion better than anyone who lived in it. She knew which step on the staircase made a soft sound. She knew which window caught the morning sun first. She knew which room felt cold even in heat. She worked carefully, respectfully, as though the house were watching. Sometimes as she cleaned, she would pause not out of laziness, but out of something she could not explain. A strange familiarity followed her through the halls, like a memory she could not touch. Yet life had taught her not to ask questions. Questions were dangerous for people like her. Other workers talked in whispers, complained when they thought no one important was listening. Amara did not join them. She kept her head down, her voice low, her presence small. Once, a young woman from the family scolded her harshly for a spill Amara did not cause. "Know your place," the woman said.
"You need to know your place, Amara. This is unacceptable."
Amara knelt and cleaned the floor in silence. She carried those words with her long after the floor was dry. At night, back in her small room, Amara spoke to no one. She sat on her bed, holding a small piece of cloth, her grandmother's cloth, the only thing she had kept from home. Her grandmother had raised her in a village where land meant history and silence meant survival. When the old woman died, Amara was sent away with little explanation and even fewer belongings. "Go to the city," they said. "You will find work." They never spoke of land. They never spoke of documents. They never spoke of inheritance. And Amara never asked. She only worked. There was one person in the mansion who watched Amara differently. He was an old man, quiet, slow-moving, with eyes that noticed what others ignored. He had been around long enough to know that houses, like people, carried secrets. He watched the way Amara cleaned. Not hurried, not careless, not resentful. There was a respect in her movements that unsettled him. One afternoon, while searching through old files in his study, the old man found a document that made his hands tremble. The paper was aged, the ink faded, but the name was clear: Amara. He found it again in another file, and another: land documents, ownership papers, a will. The truth pressed heavily against his chest. He remembered now a woman from years ago, strong and proud, who had trusted him with papers when others had laughed at her. A grandmother who said, "If anything happens to me, protect what belongs to my child." Fear crept in. Truth is dangerous when people benefit from lies. The family had built their comfort on silence. They had grown used to forgetting. But paper does not forget. The old man knew he could no longer delay. Some documents refused to stay buried. That morning, Amara was called by her full name. Not girl, not you. Her full name. She stood in the large living room, her heart beating loudly in her chest. Everyone was seated, every eye rested on her. The silence was heavy, documents were placed on the table. The old man spoke slowly, carefully, as though each word carried weight. "You are not a worker in this house," he said. "This house belongs to you."
These documents reveal everything. You must see the truth now.
Amara laughed softly at first, not out of joy but disbelief. Mistakes happened, confusions happened. Poor girls did not own mansions, but documents do not lie. The room shifted, faces changed color without moving. Some looked away, some stared at the floor. The mansion had been built on her grandmother's land. The papers had always existed. The truth had simply been ignored. Amara felt something break inside her. She cried not because she was rich, but because she had been erased. For years, she had cleaned her own inheritance without knowing. For years, people had walked past her, insulting what belonged to them no longer. She stood quietly, holding the weight of a life rewritten. Wealth did not change Amara, truth did. She did not shout. She did not threaten. She did not send anyone away. Her first decision surprised them all. She kept everyone, because she remembered hunger. She remembered silence. She remembered being unseen. That night, Amara stood by the window of the mansion and watched the lights of the city. For the first time, she slept in the house she had cleaned for years. The house was quiet, peaceful. Some people are born owners. But life makes them cleaners first to teach them humility before power. And so the mansion finally rested. Owning the house did not immediately give Amara peace. In the days that followed, she walked through the mansion slowly, touching walls she had cleaned for years without permission to belong. Every room held memories, some gentle, some bitter. Here was the hallway where she had been insulted for walking too slowly. Here was the kitchen where she had knelt to clean spills she did not cause. Here was the staircase she had polished while people above her discussed wealth she unknowingly owned. At night, sleep avoided her. Wealth brings noise to the mind before it brings rest. Amara began to feel the weight of time stolen from her. Not money time, years of labor. Years of silence, years of invisibility. She did not hate anyone. But grief has many shapes. One evening, she asked the old man to sit with her. She wanted to know everything. The truth, the lies, the delays. And he told her, slowly, carefully, how fear had protected comfort and how silence had been easier than justice.
Key to understanding our past is through stories and memories.
That's beautifully put. I've often felt the same way.
In times like these, we must find strength in our shared history and resilience.
Amara listened without interruption. When he finished, she looked at him and said only one thing. "Thank you for finally choosing truth." That night, she stood alone in the mansion courtyard, looking up at the sky. For the first time, she allowed herself to mourn the girl she had been forced to become, be counted. They can only be honored, because it had found its owner. Morning returned as it always did. But this time, Amara did not wake as a worker. She walked through the house with purpose, not pride, but clarity. Her first actions were quiet ones. She called the staff together and spoke to them without raising her voice. She told them they would keep their jobs, that nothing would be taken from them.
Thank you all for your dedication and hard work. Let's continue to maintain this standard of excellence.
Confusion spread across their faces. They had expected anger, they had prepared for revenge. But Amara had lived too long on the other side of cruelty to repeat it. She returned to her village weeks later, not in luxury, not with noise, but with respect. She stood on the same red earth she had once walked away from, carrying answers instead of questions. Land was restored, truth was spoken aloud, silence was broken. Children followed her footsteps as she walked through the village. Elders greeted her differently now, not because she was rich, but because she was proven. When Amara returned to the mansion, it no longer felt like a borrowed space. It felt settled. Some people rise loudly, others rise correctly. And so the story spread, not of a poor girl who became rich, but of a woman who owned herself long before she owned a mansion. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story and got the moral lessons therein. I will see you again soon with another interesting tales of the human heart. Cheers.